Here is we have a differential equation, and what we want to do is we want to sketch the slope field for this differential equation. Now, we just need to sort of remember a few things. We need to just remember that one, this represents, right, slope of the tangent line. So I have it where this is, we should say, slope of tangent line. And we should also remember what some things look like, right? So if dy dx is 0, right? Well, that's a slope of 0. We should know that that looks like a horizontal line. That looks like that. And then if dy dx is, let's say, positive, let's say dy dx is greater than 0, well, then that's a positive slope. So that's going to look something like that. And then we should also just keep in mind that if dy dx is negative, then it looks like this. That's a negative. That line has negative slope. But we also should remember that if we have it where we have undefined, right? If dy dx is undefined, which means that you're going to be dividing by 0, we should know that that looks like that vertical line because this line has undefined slope. Now it's pretty much as simple as going to each one of these points that they give you and then drawing what you get when you plug in the x and y values. So this is the point 1 comma 0. So x is 1, y is 0. I'd be dividing by 0 then because y is going to be 0 in that situation. So I have this undefined slope right here. And if they don't have the point, you don't need to worry about that. So I have these vertical lines everywhere where y is 0, right? Y is going to be 0 here. 2 comma 0, y is 0, y is 0, y is 0. So these are the just vertical lines here. And you don't need to worry about the origin. 0 over 0 is a little bit more tricky. They don't want to even trouble you with that. So this here, then let's say when x is 0, right? What happens when x is 0 here? If x is 0, 0 divided by something that's non-zero is 0, and a 0 slope looks like the horizontal line. And then you have something like this for these points. And the basic in-between ones you want to check. So let's see, negative 1 comma 1, right? Negative 1 comma 1 is just going to be a slope of 1. So that looks like this, right? And then negative 2 comma 2 I think is the same value of a slope of 1, right? Because the negative flips. And you would just need to sit here and plug that in, right? So like I plugged in the point negative 1 comma 1, right? So I'm just saying I plugged in the point negative 1 comma 1. I'm going to get negative 1 over 1, which is just 1 after this sign flips. And similarly, you could see for this one. Now, what about this point? This is negative 2 comma 1, right? Negative 2 comma 1 is a slope of 2, so it's just a little, just make it more slanted than the other ones. And then this one here, let's see how this one looks. So this one is negative 1 comma 2, which is a half, so just make it less slanted than the 1, right? It doesn't need to be perfect. And then we want to do the same thing for these points. So this is 1 comma 1, and it's negative, so it's just negative 1. And then this is 2 comma 2, and it's going to be negative, so it's like that. It's just negative 1. And then now similarly, something tells me that these are just going to flip, right? So this was like this, so I think it was the other way, but let's just make sure. 1, when x is 1, it's negative 1 over, and then when y is 2, it's negative 1 half. So it's going to look something like that. It's got to be negative, and it should be less, it should be, more horizontal than this negative 1, because it's only negative a half here. And then this one is going to be negative 2, so it needs to be more negative. It needs to look like that. Right? And you can sit here and you can take your time with this, right? I'm doing this fast. I've done this a million times. Take your time with each one of these. So this is 1, and since it's negative x, it's negative 1. over negative, so it's positive 1 here. Right, so it looks like that. And then we're going to have, let's see, this is negative 2 over negative 1, so it's positive 2, so it's just more slanted than the original one. And then here you have something like negative 1, right? Negative, negative, positive, but then the negative 1 on the bottom makes it negative 1, so it looks like that. And you have this nice sketch after you're done with this, and then just, again, be careful, negative 2, negative negative is 2 over negative 1, it's negative 2, so it's something that looks like this. And then this is your slope field, more or less. This is the introduction, this is the basic idea, okay, for sketching these. It's not so hard, just plug in the values for each point and then draw that slope, just a little tick of that slope on each point that they give you.